Hello,
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to What's New and Coming Up with Lipedema. I'm Gail Straker. I'm the community manager for Lipedema Simplified, and I'm here today with my absolutely marvelous, wonderful friends. It's been such a long time since I've hugged them, but here's a big old St. Patty's Day hug for Catherine Sao. How are you today, Catherine?
Good. I'm just finishing. Dr. Carmody and I just did a podcast, and it was fabulous, if I do say so myself.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you had fun. Dr. Carmody is phenomenal, and you two are like, you two get going at each other. I love listening to. Yeah, they're like this, right? Um, we're also here today with Siobhan Huggins, who's our research specialist. Hello, Siobhan.
hello.
And we are we are missing our very own Dr. Leslyn Keith, who usually runs this thing, but she is traveling to go see her house. So we we told her, okay, go go do what you need to do. So with that said, Catherine, what was your podcast with Dr. Carmody about?
Oh my God, it was fabulous. Lisa Jore, who is one of our lipedema ladies, and she's been working and helping us. And she was a speaker at our last event and is going to be a speaker again. She got the most rahs from the entire community. So we asked her to come back. So she's going to be speaking at our upcoming event in March 31st, April 1 and 2, which I'm sure we're going to tell you about. There it is.
Yes. And I'm gonna, while you talk about it, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link our in the comments so that so people can just register from here. So
So, yeah, go ahead and put it in. Hi, Julie. Happy St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. Um, so the event is coming up. It is a 3-day event. We have three big rocks. They say, do your big rocks first. And so the big rock is the event in the spring. There's an event in the fall, and there's a boot camp on it for Lipedema Awareness Month, which is June. So the one that's coming up, we have 24 speakers, and we just got a 25th. Bill Rapisi, who is the CEO and president of the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, is going to be coming in and giving us an update because there's been some amazing breakthroughs in the whole field of the lymphatic research. And so he's going to be coming in and sharing that with us. So it's very, very exciting. And the thing that I want to say is that it's been an evolutionary process. Um, this is our sixth event. We started the year of the pandemic in 2020, and then April of 2021, and then no October of 2021, and then a couple in 2022. And this is our first one in 2023, so it's our sixth one. And I have to say that it's been a very evolutionary process. Um, I have to say I'm a professor, and that's the model that I'm used to, which is, knowledge gets given and you take it. And then you ask some questions and we answer questions. Well, that's shifted dramatically about a year ago because what we realized, and I think, I actually think that both Siobhan and Gail coming into our, inner workings of putting things together, we're part of that understanding that there is a conversation that's so important that happens in the community itself. So our events are now built around community engagement. so that I just finished this podcast with Dr. Carmody that Lisa was hosting, and our message was that there's so much wisdom in the community, and that by sharing that wisdom, we all learn, we all gain, we all get to find what works for us in terms of managing long-term, lifelong chronic diseases, and that we can do that with grace and with dignity and with fun and connection. And so that's what we've been doing lately.
Well, that's wonderful, though, Catherine. I remember the first time we did one of these styles of events. It was the boot camp at at the end of Lipedema Awareness Month last year. So June was the first time we did this collaborative, this working together event, and it was spectacular. It blew my mind
Yeah,
that we could actually get and visit with each other and share ideas, because there's nothing else out there like this, especially for lipedema.
it's true. And the thing that I find so fascinating, well, one of the things that someone said to me is, you're either I can't remember how they said it, but it was something like, you got to move from being the sage on the stage to being in the
The,
weeds with
the,
everyone.
yeah, the guide by the side.
That's it, the guide by the side. I knew it was something. See, Gail, I told you.
I know. You're so sweet.
Yeah, and likewise, like if I had just continued to learn about lipedema by reading papers and watching the presenters and stuff, there would have been a lot that I hadn't learned and hadn't started to question, compared to interacting with the community and doing these types of events where I'm talking to other people with lipedema and getting advice from them too, because there's a ton of stuff with my own care that I could improve on, and just getting like tips and encouragement and stuff like that, and just recommendations, and just the rah effect of, you really need to do this and you really should be doing this and you can do this, has been really helpful for me personally, both on the scientific side and then also on the personal side.
Yeah.
So I really like that style because it's helpful for me to learn. So I can't imagine how much it helps everybody else too.
Right. And I remember,
Um,
Siobhan,
let
you
me what?
and you said, I don't, Siobhan said at that first event, we like, oh, Siobhan will stay in this main room. And you're like, nope, I'm going to the breakout rooms. Bye, see you. And she took off to go to the breakout rooms because she wanted to be part of that, the smaller conversations, because they're so powerful.
And let me say that one of the high points of this upcoming event is that Dave Feldman and Siobhan, who partner together, they own Your Labs, which is do it yourself, get your own labs so that you can monitor your health. They're going to be presenting together on citizen science, and that is at the core, at the very core of you are your own N equals one. In science, in research, N stands for the number of subjects. And most studies, one of the best studies that from the Centers for Disease Control was on the ACE study, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACE, and 17,000 N's. N equals 17,000. We're N equals 1. That's me, that's Gail, that's Siobhan, that's you. N equals 1. You are your own laboratory because we are all so unique, and we have to find what works for ourselves. Now, having suggestions in the community. So someone says, keto works for me, low carb works for me, this way of doing things works for me. And you have some place to begin experimenting. And in fact, Siobhan, I want to hear, because when I came in a little late. Siobhan was going through one of her experiments, and I want to hear it because it sounded really good.
Yeah, so basically what happened is how I've dabbled in fat fasting before, and fat fasting just means you're eating basically all fat for a period of time. So water fasting, same thing with water, fat fasting, majority fat. So in my case, I'm doing like 95% fat by calorie. Um, and I got into that because Kelly Hogan had reached out to me because she was doing it and talking about it. And she was like, oh, if you want to join in, it would be really fun because then we can chat about it and stuff like that. So I started doing it and I had gone through 2 rounds. So I'm doing alternate day fat fasting. So I'll fat fast one day, the next day I'll do a refeed of just my normal diet, and then I'll do fat fast again the next day and so on. And on the fat fast days, I'm maintaining my normal caloric intake, which is up to 2,000 calories now, but 95% fat. And I went into my weekly appointment with my lymphatic therapist. And the first thing I opened up with, because she always asks, how are you doing? Was weird. She's like, okay, please expand on that. I was like, I feel like my ankles are different. And I feel like I'm going insane. So I'd like a sanity check because it feels like my right ankle is significantly smaller than my left one and it feels different and I don't get it. Like a commonality since the very beginning is that my legs are different. My left one tends to swell a little bit more, and that's probably just because it's my non-dominant side, so it doesn't get as much muscle action, stuff like that. And that's reflected in the tissue as well. So I have more lipedema tissue on my left side. But in this case, it was such a difference because I'm used to them feeling pretty similar. And now my right leg was like, it looked a lot smoother, like more like a normal ankle, and it felt bonier, like I could feel the bone. So I had her check, and she confirmed, like, yes, your right ankle has changed in texture substantially. And she said, I can feel the bone too. We haven't really experienced that up to this point. And then she checked my other ankle, and she said, this is going to psych you out, but your left ankle is also substantially different in texture because of a lot of reduced swelling. And then she checked my arms, and the same exact thing. There was a lot of reduced swelling in my arms too. And I had been doing multiple things, but it was all stuff that I had done before. Like I'd been taking oral CBD because it was around time in my cycle where I tend to swell more. So I was being a bit preventative about it. So taking CBD, doing MLD, but I've done all that stuff before and it didn't have this impact. It was the fat fasting that I had introduced. And this change was compared to last week when I saw her last. So in that space of time where I had introduced fat fasting, I had this sudden reduction in whole body swelling to the point where she was like, we can feel your ankle bones. Like, and like throughout the entire appointment, we were both going like, this is so confusing. This is really weird. Like, this is so bizarre. Like, we just couldn't, because it was such a massive difference. And over the course of 6 months of working together, we've seen a lot of cumulative differences, like reductions in calf swelling and improved function and stuff like that. But this was such a dramatic difference in such a short amount of time. So the only thing I can think of is that it's the alternate day fat fasting. And the increase in dairy tolerance that I mentioned last week has stuck. So on the fat fast days, it's actually with heavy cream and egg yolks. And that's perfectly fine. And then on my refeeding days, I'm having a little bit of cheese and I'm not seeing any increase in swelling, anything like that. No acne, no weight gain. I'm actually losing weight doing the alternate day fat fasting. I'm feeling really, really, really good. And this massive reduction in swelling is like, what is happening? But that's like experiment. I just decided to do alternate day fat fasting because Kelly had reached out to me and it's like, sure, why not? I've done fat fasting before. I wouldn't mind doing it. Sounds like fun. And then I have this kind of experience and it's like, oh, maybe this was really what my body wants right now. Lots of energy that it processes well, just low insulin every other day, like all this stuff. So I have no idea if it's going to stick, if it's going to continue improving. I'm just going to keep going. And one other component is that I do feel really good when doing it. And if that stops being the case, then I'll stop doing it. So right now, my body's feeling really happy with it. It's like, yes, please keep doing this, keep doing it, keep doing it. So I'm excited for every fat fast day, and I feel really good, really energetic. Today is a fat fast day, if you couldn't tell. But if that stops being the case, then it's like, okay, body, I hear you. We're not going to do this, and we'll try something else. So I'm just listening for the moment, and my body's responding really, really, really well. So I'm going to continue until I get the signal it's time to change things up. But that's an example of just playing around and seeing what happens. And then, oh, this is working. Let's continue doing this for a little while.
Which I want to add is the foundation of our community. We try things, we share things. I had the opposite experience. I have some health issues going on. I have some central lymphatic issues that got triggered with an airplane flight recently in November. And they told me to eat a lot of fat because I needed to do a test. And I got so sick. So here's the bottom line. This is good information. You try it, you see what your body does, and you track it. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about in the upcoming event. How do you monitor this? How do you track it? How do you know what works for you? How do you speak to and listen to your body?
Yeah, and that's another component of this is before I started the fat fasting, I made sure to take measurements, check my weight, all that type of stuff. And then I'm going to check again probably tomorrow. So after I've been doing it a full week, and then I'll see where I'm at. But having those baselines is really important because then I have something to compare to. Like, is other stuff improving? Like, am I losing inches? Am I like losing weight? All that type of stuff. And am I losing weight in a healthy way? So I also want to get some body composition scans down the road, make sure maintaining lean mass, losing fat, because that's the part I actually care about. Like, I don't want to be losing lean mass.
Wow. That's exciting. Really,
yeah.
Really, it's exciting. I'm reading a book right now called Stay Off My Operating Table.
Oh, yeah, Ovadia.
By Philip, is it Ovadia?
I always say Ovadia, which might be wrong.
Ovadia. Anyways, but he's a heart surgeon, and as many people know, my husband is looking at open heart surgery in April, and he had his angiogram yesterday, and the cardiologist who he had never met before burst into the what is it, an outpatient room. They're like cubicles with a curtain, right? They're not individual rooms.
Mm-hmm.
He says he comes in, he'd met him, and then he went out and got the test result, blood results, came back in. He goes, your cholesterol's so high, you're going to die. Just burst. I mean, it was like, as he's getting ready to wheel him away to do the angiogram, he says, you're going to be all clogged up. He goes, we'll probably be more, longer, because we're probably going to have to put a stent in here or there. Right. And I looked at Guy, because, Guy, my husband, has been keto and low carb and eating really healthy for 5 years. And he says, the doctor says to him, I hope you prove me wrong, but I don't think you're going to. And I grabbed a hold of my husband's toes. You know how they're right there at the foot of the bed before they leave? I grabbed his toes and made eye contact, and I said, prove him wrong. Right? Because he didn't tell us what his cholesterol was. He just said, it's so high, you're going to die, and off they go. So when he came back before my husband came back into the room, he says to me, well, I checked this. He goes, the keto diet, the paleo diet. He goes, those are all really bad for you. And he goes on and on and on. I'm like, who is this person? Keto and paleo, they're like whole food diets. And I told him they're whole food diets. And he says, there's no such thing as a whole food diet. I'm like, not like whole food store diet, like one ingredient foods. And he goes, well, what does he say? Landlocked animals You don't need to be eating like beef and pork. Chicken and turkey aren't that good now. If you focus on fish, and I'm like, why is he telling me this? I feed this boy healthy food. One ingredient foods, no sugars, no grains. I mean, I'm adamant about this. And so he says to me, he's showing me all these things, and then he's drawing, oh, and the artery goes this way, and then the arteries go this way, and right here there's a lesion, so he's got a little bit of plaque buildup, maybe 25%. And I was waiting. Nothing. Everything's clear except this small space, right? And then he goes, it's the beginning of heart disease. And in my head, I'm thinking, or the end of it, because who knows where he was. And so I asked the doctor, so would you rather me feed him the standard American diet? Are you telling me that's how I should be feeding him instead of one ingredient foods? So we were really stirred up, right? But then Guy came back and said, I proved him wrong, didn't I? And I said, yeah, you did. Yeah, you proved him wrong.
That's the thing about that. If he hadn't had a CTA prior to that point, then you don't know. Like, there's no way to know. You have one data point and you can't draw conclusions from that. You'd have to get a follow-up down the road.
Right.
And then the other aspect of that, is it calcified plaque or is it new soft plaque? Because those are two different things.
And those are two different things. And he didn't tell me anything. So I finally said, okay, how high is his cholesterol? He goes, well, it's super high. I said, I want a number because my nutritionist is going to want to know. Oh, you work with a nutritionist? Yes. I said, my nutritionist is going to want to know his numbers. He goes, it's 219. His LDL is 219. And I'm like, oh, okay. What's his HDL? He goes, oh, it's got to be under 40. He goes, 49. I'm like, okay, that's good. I said, and are his triglycerides over 130? He goes, oh, I'm sure they are. And he looks up and goes, no, they're 70. And I'm like, okay, great numbers, right? All of us who work with it going, I'd love my cholesterol to be that. So, but he was so adamant, and that I watched Guy's monitor. His heart rate was at 157, or not 157, at 57, just 58, 57, 56. And the minute that guy walked in and said that, it shot up to 67, just like that, right before he took him in. And my thought was, oh, that's a lot of stress right there. What causes heart disease? Stress, right? So it was a very interesting day yesterday. But one more time, there has to be, what do we call it? The N of one, right? What does my husband need for his metabolic health? What do I need for my lipedema health? My metabolic health.
And this is a big question. It's one of the big questions with keto is high cholesterol in isolation, even with the high HDL, even with the low triglycerides, even with the good metabolic health, is it going to drive heart disease? The answer currently is we don't know. But there are studies going into this to look, and one of them is the one that Dave is working on, which is the lean mass hyperresponder study. It's 100 people. It's HDL, so high HDL, low triglycerides, high LDL. The mean time on keto was about 5 years, if I remember right. Mean age 55. So mean LDL around 230. And they have the baseline capture done. So now we check back in a year and we look at the progression, because like if you suddenly change lifestyles, the trajectory of things could plausibly change. Like you've changed something, so that could influence other stuff. So we need to look at the progression. So that'll be in 1 year from February 8th, I think is the last scan. So I'm just checking my watch.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what you and Dave have to offer our community on the event, which is great. Yeah. Catherine, that event's not very far away.
I know, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Before that, actually, next Saturday, I believe we have something else,
Oh, we
which
do.
is
Oh,
the
right.
next webinar.
Yeah, we have a free webinar.
Yeah, let me grab that.
Yeah, it's going to be an open Q&A.
Yeah, so if you have questions that you would like to ask and discussion that you would like to build and bring up, that is the place to do it. So it's going to be a whole time of questions and answers and discussion and probably having a lot of fun. And I like Q&As. They're always fun.
I'm gonna yeah, it's called All About Lipedema and Lymphedema, open Q&A, March 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'm grabbing that link as we speak, and I'm popping it into the here. So this is a webinar.
Yeah, so this is a free webinar, so you do need to sign up for it to get access, but you do not need to pay for it. So all the information in there, you can just come in, join in, ask any questions, or just listen if you would like. And there's going to be lots and lots and lots of very good questions if going from past experience, and just a lot of good time together, seeing faces, spending time together is always good.
I thought you were going to say there's going to be refreshments at the end, but I have a feeling there will be a surprise at the end because Catherine.
Ooh, very possible.
Yes, there will be. There always is.
Like, there's got to be
a surprise anymore because people know I did it.
Well, there's a nice bonus at the end.
Yeah.
And the surprise is what kind of bonus it's going to be.
Yeah,
is
that's
it
good.
a free car for everyone? A pony like every little child wishes for?
A car for you, a car for you, a car for you.
Probably not a car, but
No.
maybe something really, really fun is always a
Catherine
possibility.
Catherine is channeling Oprah Winfrey.
Right.
Look at your seat. What do you have?
Yeah, really. So anyway, please join us at everything we're doing. Fun, because we have a good time and we learn a lot and we share and we encourage one another and we come up with these wonderful things.
Yeah, and we learn from the people who come and join. So by coming to join, you're helping us learn from you as well, which I highly appreciate.
And so do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love you guys. And you know what's exciting is with all of this, there's always hope. You're not alone. We're here for you. Reach out to us. You know how to find us, right? Right here. Right here.
So have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for wearing green, Gail.
I did too. This is technically green.
I don't have anything that's green.
I have a 6-year-old grandchild. I had to wear green. I woke up this morning and she's like, "You have to wear these beads, Grandma." Okay. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day, you guys.
Have a wonderful, wonderful whatever you're doing and whatever time of the day you are. Bye.